It often seems that many of us are on a mission to try to create a life that flows as smoothly and fluidly as possible. Yet, despite our desires, often our lives do not look or feel that way. To cope with this sense of lack of control in life, I have been playing with an idea that was offered to me by the shaman I met at the teepee gathering, who continues to mentor me as a personal therapist. He recommended that it might be more fun to perceive life as a metaphoric journey traveling along the waterways of life. He proposed that perhaps if we see ourselves as droplets of water on our own aquatic journey, we might be able to cope with the continuous changes we face throughout our lives. For example, just like water sometimes gets hung up in stagnant pools, stunted by obstacles, or barred from making any progress, we too get stuck sometimes on our path. Though it might feel constricting, if we can see that we are amidst a flow that is often seems outside of our control, we can come to realize that there are positive things that restfulness provides. We might try to enjoy the comforting warmth and stillness that surrounds us as we soak in our scenic whirlpool, or appreciate the simplicity of stillness, or revel in our lack of control, especially since we are not wholly sure how long we will stay. Other times the tides and currents can move so fast it can feel like we are riding along intense rolling and choppy rapids, and it seems life is moving so erratically that our heads spin. During these times it might feel like we are careening and cascading over unexpectedly jagged rocks or hazardous waterfalls. To cope when we find ourselves tossed about chaotically, we might reflect with appreciation on the ways that we actually thrive in the dizzying frenetic energy and the excitement it brings. We might find comfort in also realizing that though the chaos is hard to navigate, we might also miss the intensity of the journey when it comes to an end. Along these choppy waterways of life, it might occasionally seem like we are in utter peril, or that we are at risk of splashing out of our river or finding ourselves lost, unable to reach the destination we had hoped for. Yet, even if we are stuck in a place that we had not wished, we might be able to alleviate our panic by seeing that we, just like droplets of water, are inherently fluid and capable of adapting to where we are regardless of our circumstances. For example, like water, our fluid essence can join larger entities, or we can depart from prior unions and divert from the path to take a path of our own. We can even transform ourselves into shapes that allow us to revel in our own uniqueness, or forms that allow us to adapt to the spaces we find ourselves in. Even if it seems we are completely separate, life is often seems an uncontrollable ride, yet though we cannot always impact and change our course, we can manipulate our ways of seeing our surroundings and slightly budge ourselves into a new environment. There seems to be much wisdom in considering the ways in which we can suspend our judgment of ourselves and how we cope with the wild and erratic patterns of life flow, and how we can begin to trust with gratitude that blessings will come our way. Though it may seem naive, it is truly a measure of self-care to accept that we are not always able to manipulate or control the pathway. Sometimes, if we simply decide we are going to catch the flow and honor the journey we are on in very positive ways, it can perhaps help us appreciate the wondrous mysteries of the beauty way.